Let's get started with Module 1. Too many things to do? The buck plops here. Well, what is plops? That's kind of a funny word. Plops, plop, plops. You're also going to identify the 5 steps through this course, and we're going to be able to explain each step, and then we'll go through a brief review. So what is plops? Well, plops is a methodology of time management created in 1991 to assist busy people. The time management is a skill that few people master, but most people need. And plops, it's an acronym. It's a simple way to remember how to use a skill that's going to significantly enhance your life. Again, plops is an acronym. Stands for plan, list, organize, prioritize, and schedule. Okay, the P in plops, plan. First, you're going to plan to manage your time. Success doesn't happen overnight, neither does time management. You're going to have to plan to do this. If you already knew how to manage your time, you wouldn't be in this class with me today. But you are going to plan to do it. You're going to learn how because it's very simple, and you're all very smart people, I can tell already. Also, you'll need to obtain an organizer. It can be paper or electronic, really doesn't matter. Just something that will help you organize what your schedule looks like on a daily basis. The next piece is you need to find a place where you can be alone. 30 minutes to an hour would be sufficient. This is a place where you can focus on the task at hand, which is your planning task, and you can be uninterrupted. The next letter in the acronym is list. You're going to list all the activities that you normally do in an average week. Examples of this are church, education, work, date nights with your significant other. If you go to a spa on a regular basis, exercise, get a massage, that type of thing. You're going to make a list of those. Also, please don't forget about time for yourself. We are notorious at not scheduling in time for ourselves. Now, if your car battery goes dead and you need to get somewhere, the first thing you need to do is get that battery fixed. You need to recharge it, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, now, Nancy, your battery is dead in your car, and you go to Kai to ask Kai to help you to jump your vehicle. Well, what happens if Kai's battery is not charged?
And I'm stuck.
You're stuck. Absolutely, you're right, Nancy. You're stuck because Kai can't help you if his battery is not charged. Your battery, your internal battery, is the same as your car battery. You must take time to recharge it, otherwise you can be of no use to anybody else. And then we're going to organize. Now, we've listed all the activities that we have, but we need to organize them. We're going to organize them into major categories because the thing is, when you have 25 tasks in your average week, that can feel overwhelming. So I want you to put them into major categories. Group them into like categories. Examples of that would be your faith, your family, career, personal time, volunteer. The major categories are going to be used to simplify your time management process. After you've organized into these major categories, then we're going to need to prioritize. This is the P in plops. You must prioritize these major categories by what is most important to you. Now understand, what's most important to you may not be what's most important to your neighbor. But when you assign these priorities, it's going to allow you to concentrate on those items that are most important. Mike, I think it was you who mentioned you were having a little bit of a hard time figuring out between work and family commitments what you should be doing. I want to share with you a little story about a lady that I worked with, and her name was Sherry. And Sherry had a very similar experience as Mike relayed to us, and she had a job and she had a family, and of course she had several other things in her life that were important to her. And what she would always do is she would schedule her work first. Now this cylinder represents Sherry's time schedule in a week, and this represents her job. Now she loved her job and she was a little bit of a workaholic. She worked 10 to 12 hours a day. She worked oftentimes 4 or 5 hours on Saturday, and sometimes even 4 or 5 hours a day on Sunday. So she was working a lot. Now, she made great money and she enjoyed what she did, but the fact of the matter is, you can see how much time just her job alone took up. Well, then she had 3 kids, and she also had a husband. And with family comes a lot of things that we want to do, activities that the kids are in, time we need to nurture our relationship with our spouse. And so she also spent a lot of time doing that during her week. Now, what's happening here? This week's getting full, isn't it? With just her career and her family. Well, she was also a very spiritual person, and she liked to go to church and read spiritual material. So she did as much of that as she possibly could. But you can see, even as much as Sherry tries to squish in here, what's happening here, Kai?
It's overflowing.
It is overflowing. So she's squished and squished, but the fact of the matter is, after these 3 major categories were put into her time schedule this way, it just didn't work. There was stuff left over. After we went through our time management process of plops, then she began to realize that if she scheduled her schedule based on what was most important to her, which happened to be faith first, then she could schedule her faith into her weekly schedule. It looks pretty full there, doesn't it? It's pretty full. Well, then she decided, you know, my family is what's going to be there when my career is gone and when I'm old and gray, so I really need to spend time, especially my kids are growing up so fast, and I want to be part of their lives. So she scheduled those in next. And there had to be some massaging in her schedule, especially with this new stuff going on. That's to be expected. But all of her family activities fit in there as well. And then she put in her career, because remember, that is still important to her. And she needed to be able to have that career for her well-being and also for her family's financial status. But look at, Kai, what's happening here?
It's fitting in rather nicely.
It is fitting in rather nicely. And like I said, sometimes you have to massage it around a little bit, depending on how the activities are coming up for that week. But lo and behold, everything fit. So now take a look at this. This was the way she used to schedule her life. It wasn't in the priorities that were most important. She hadn't prioritized them correctly. They were important items, but she just didn't have enough time. She had stuff left over. How many of you feel like you have stuff left over?
Yeah.
Well, with the prioritization of what was most important to her, there was no stuff left over. Everything was able to fit in the time schedule that she had. All right, so let's move to the S in plops. Schedule. Scheduling your tasks on a frequent basis is paramount. You need to be able to schedule on a yearly basis, a monthly basis, but also a weekly and a daily basis. Your yearly is going to cover your year-end or your long-term goals. Usually you'll do that at the beginning of the year. Monthly schedules happen at the beginning of the month, and those are shorter-term goals. Weekly is going to be the activities that you have on a weekly basis, and then daily is going to be your daily activity. This is where your success lies. If you're consistent in scheduling your daily activities, each level will support the level above. So daily supports weekly, supports monthly, supports yearly. And you'll be able to see how your goals are being accomplished in the same amount of time. So just a real quick review. What is plops? In your own words, with the help of the class, Kai?
A time management methodology.
Absolutely. And what are the 5 steps? We just covered those, again, with the help of the class. Paul?
Plan, list, organize, prioritize, schedule.
Absolutely. And we just explained each step. All right. Now it's break time. We're going to take 15 minutes. When you come back, we're going to head into Module 2, scaling down your schedule. How to say no. Who doesn't need that? See you in 15 minutes.